All right, I have a number of yours quizzes that you turned in on adding and subtracting integers, but I have a number of people who haven't turned them in yet. And if you haven't turned them in yet, I'm only going to give you a couple more hours today before I send out this video with the corrections on it. And once I send out the video with the corrections on it, you can't get a grade on the quiz. However, you can do corrections on the quiz, okay? And again, all of you who already turned it in, a lot of you got hundreds, but a lot of you got grades that were a lot lower. Although most of you who turned it in did pretty good. There was someone who got a 40, but other than that, everyone else got an 80 or above. But you can do corrections like you always do. Keep your scratch work. I told you to keep your scratch work, not to send that to me, okay? And also, write your correction on a separate sheet of paper and put it on the outside of your quiz. And again, as we take more quizzes, do the same thing. Anyway, these are the answers. Number 1 was a negative 1,019. Number 2 is a negative 103. Number 3 is a positive 514. Number 4 is a negative 1,006. And number 5 is a positive 8. And again, you can grade your own work if you have your scratch work there, which you should, so you can see what you got right and wrong, so you can make sure you do corrections on what you got wrong. Anyway, number 1, since I can't ask you any questions, I'll do them all. Number 1 says a negative 255 plus a negative 764. Now again, to add integers, the first thing you have to say to yourself is, do I have same signs or do I have different signs? Let's see, a negative and a negative, I have same signs. What's the rule for same signs? Add and bring down the sign. So 5 plus 4 is 9, 5 plus 6 is 11, carry your 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 7 is 10, and your answer is 1,019. However, you bring down the sign, and your answer is a negative 1,019. And again, it's like if I owe 255 and I owe 764, I owe 1,019 when I finish, because addition means to combine. And again, that's the answer number 1. Number 2 says a positive 539 plus a negative 642. Again, the first question always when you're adding integers is same sign or different signs. And again, a positive and a negative mean I have different signs. The rule for different signs is subtract and take the sign of a larger amount. Again, even though it's addition, since the signs are different, you subtract and take the sign of a larger amount. But I can't subtract 642 from 539, and that's why I use the commutative property of addition to change the order. Put the negative 642 on the top, put the positive 539 on the bottom, and then, even though it's an addition problem, subtract. Borrow from the 4 and make it a 3. 12 minus 9 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. And 6 minus 5 is 1. So the answer is 103. But what sign do I take? I take the sign of the larger amount, not the larger number, because a positive is always larger than a negative number, but the sign of the larger amount. 642 is the larger amount. It's on the top, so my answer is a negative. And that's how you get a negative 103. And again, to add integers, your rule is same signs, add and bring down a sign. Different signs, subtract and take the sign of a larger amount. Now, number 3 is a subtraction problem. It says a positive 142 plus a negative 764. I'm sorry. I'm doing number 1. I jumped from number 3 to number 1. Try that again. A positive 142 is right, but it's minus a negative 372. Now again, what's the rule for subtracting integers? The rule for subtracting integers is make it an addition problem. And you can't just say, okay, poof, I'm in an addition problem. You have to change subtraction to addition by changing the number you subtract by to its opposite. So a positive 142 minus a negative 372 becomes a positive 142 plus a positive 372. Because again, minus becomes plus and a negative becomes a positive. Now, once I change it to an addition problem, it doesn't mean I'm going to add. It means I'm going to go back to the addition rules. And again, the addition rules are same signs, add and bring down the sign, different signs, subtract and take the sign a larger amount. I have same signs, so I'm going to add. This is 4. 4 plus 7 is 11, carrying me your 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. You get 514, and then you bring down the positive sign because you're adding, and you add same signs by adding and bring down the sign. So the answer to this one is positive 514. Now, the next one is another subtraction problem, a negative 637 minus a positive 369. Again, whenever you have subtraction, you don't do anything until you change it to an addition problem. And you don't just make it plus. The only way to change it to addition is to change the number you subtract by to its opposite. So a negative 337 minus a positive 369 becomes a negative 637 plus a negative 369. Because once again, subtraction becomes addition by changing the bottom number from a positive to its opposite, a negative. Change subtraction to addition by changing the number you subtract by to its opposite. Now that I've changed it to an addition problem, the question is, do I have same signs or different signs? I have a negative plus a negative, I have same signs, so I add and bring down the sign. 7 plus 9 is 16, carry your 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 6 is 10, carry your 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 3 is 10. And again, it's not 1006 because you have to bring down the negative sign. By the way, I just noticed something as I was doing these. Both problems 3 and 4, when you change them to addition problems, you actually add it. And you say, well, yeah, because I changed the addition, I gotta add. No, you don't always add. In subtraction, sometimes you change it to an addition problem so you can subtract. And you go, wait, what does that mean? That's crazy, Mr. Adu. And I say, no, it's not if you really understand the addition rules. Because if I change subtraction to addition by changing the number I subtract by to its opposite, when I follow an addition rule, if I have different signs, even though it's addition, I'm going to subtract. So I wish I would have gave you an example of that on this quiz, but I didn't. But anyway, that was number 4. And then the final one, number 5, says this. It says a positive 8 plus a negative 3 plus a positive 6 minus a positive 7 minus a negative 4. And again, there are 2 ways to go about doing this problem. One way you could do it is just use the algebraic order of operation and go from left to right, which means you would start adding and subtracting going left to right with a positive 8 plus a negative 3. And again, the question is, do I have same signs or different signs? I have different signs, so I subtract and take the sign a large amount. My answer becomes a positive 5. Then I would have to take the answer to this, which was a positive 5, and add it plus a positive 6. Again, same signs or different signs, same signs, so I add 5 plus 6 is 11, and I bring down the positive sign. So now I take that answer of a positive 11, and I subtract a positive 7. Again, To subtract integers, you change to addition, so this becomes a positive 11 plus a negative 7 because you change subtraction to addition by changing the bottom number to its opposite. And again, a positive 11 plus a negative 7, same signs or different signs? Different signs, so I subtract and take the sign or the larger amount. By the way, that's the situation I was talking about, that even though you change it to an addition problem, we subtract it to get the answer. Because to change it to an addition problem, we change the positive 7 to a negative 7, and then we could just use the rule different signs subtract. So I changed it from subtraction to addition so I could subtract. Sounds weird, but it is the way it goes. Then you could take your answer of a positive 4 and subtract a negative 4. And again, anytime you have subtraction of integers, the first thing you must do is make it an addition problem. So a positive 4 minus a negative 4 is a positive 4 plus a positive 4. And again, you change subtraction to addition by changing a bottom number to its opposite. You never do subtracting integers until you make an addition first. And again, now I can follow my addition rule. Do I have same signs or different signs? I have same signs, so I add 4 plus 4 is 8, and I bring down the positive sign. And my answer is a positive 8. Now, this is one way to do this problem, but it's really not the way I would have done it. But you know what? As long as you get a positive 8, I really don't care what way you do it. As long as you can know how to get the right answer, I'm fine with whichever way you choose to do it. But this is the way I would do it. What I would do is I'd use the commutative and associative properties of addition. You go, why? Because I think it makes it easier. But you can't use the commutative property and associative property of addition unless you have all addition. So I have addition, but I have subtraction, I have subtraction. So before I would start, I would rewrite the problem and change minus a positive 7 to plus a negative 7, because minus a positive becomes plus a negative, because you change subtraction to addition by changing the number you subtract by in the back to its opposite. And then I change minus a negative 4 to plus a positive 4. Again, change subtraction to addition by changing the number you subtract by to its opposite. Now that I have all addition, then I would use the commutative and associative property to regroup like signs together. In other words, I'd add the positive 8, the positive 6, and the positive 4 all together. And why would I want to add all the positives together? Because then all I have to do is add and bring down the sign, because that's the rule for addition of integers. Same sign, add and bring down the sign. And then I would group the negative 3 and the negative 7 together. And again, why? So that I can add same signs, add and bring down the sign. So now a positive 6 and a positive 8 is 14, plus 4 is a positive 18. Again, I add and bring down the positive sign. Here, a negative 3 and a negative 7, same signs, add and bring down the sign. 3 plus 7 is 10, and bring down the negative sign. So now I have one thing left, a positive 18 plus a negative 10. Now I'm adding different signs. And when you add different signs, you subtract. So 18 minus 10 is 8, and you take the sign of a larger amount, which is positive. So again, if you know those rules that I gave you, okay, your addition rules are same signs, add and bring down the sign, different signs, subtract and take the sign of a larger amount. Your subtraction rule is change subtraction to addition by changing the number you subtract by to its opposite. By the way, the number you subtract by is on the bottom, or it's in the back. Sideways, the number I subtract by is in the back. Up and down, the number I subtract by is on the bottom. So again, that's the answers for the corrections that you have to do. By the way, I went pretty fast, so if you have to go back and review what I did, okay, you can always rewind or re-look at this video and pause it whenever you need to, so you can get your corrections done right. And even the person who got a 40 should be able to get 100, because you should be able to do your corrections correctly. By the way, you might say, do I send my corrections in to you? And the answer is no. No corrections are sent in to me. You save them for when we return back to school. All right? So I hope you can do your corrections now.